The Galactic Compliance Fleet arrived at Kepri 9 laughing. They always laughed when they came for a new world. It was a tradition among the Varelian Dominion, a sign of confidence and superiority. Their laughter echoed across open channels, translated automatically into a mocking chorus for every listening species. Soft, chittering clicks and melodic trills layered together in something that almost sounded joyful. Almost. Kepri 9 was a backwater colony, a dust-colored planet with thin clouds and wide plains. It had no strategic value, no rare minerals, no ancient relics. Only humans lived there. The Varelians had learned that humans were loud, emotional, and prone to dramatic last stands. They found this entertaining. Most species did. Governor Axe of the Compliance Fleet floated before the main holotack. 6 ice stalks swayed as he watched the human settlement below. Primitive structures, ground vehicles, and a single defense perimeter barely worth acknowledging. He let his laughter spill into the channel. Humans of Kepri 9, he broadcast, by authority of the Varelian Dominion, you are ordered to surrender your world and submit to compliance. Resistance is statistically irrelevant. Your extinction would be mildly amusing but inefficient. Behind him, the bridge crew laughed along. They had run the numbers. Weapons were crude, projectile-based, chemically propelled, a species that still relied on explosions to throw metal at their enemies. It was adorable. On the surface, Colonel Mara Kincaid listened in silence. She stood inside Bunker 7, deep beneath the settlement. The reinforced walls hummed softly as power systems spun up. Around her, men and women in worn uniforms checked equipment with practiced motions. No one laughed. Mara looked at the timer on the wall. 3 minutes until surface contact. She tapped her comm unit. All stations, this is Kincaid. Remember the plan. No heroics, no speeches. We hold until the laughter stops. A few nervous chuckles answered her, but they faded quickly. The humans of Kepri 9 had learned something the rest of the galaxy had not. Humans did not fight to impress. They fought to end things. The first Varelian landing craft descended in shimmering arcs. Energy shields flared as they cut through the thin atmosphere. Their hulls gleamed with ceremonial markings, symbols of conquest, etched into living metal. They were beautiful in a cruel way. Varelian infantry poured out laughing, tall, many-limbed forms carrying elegant plasma casters. Their weapons hissed and glowed. A single shot could reduce a human to ash. The first human shot rang out from the perimeter. A sharp crack. One Varelian stumbled, more surprised than injured. The platoon erupted in laughter. Then the ground in front of them exploded into motion. From concealed emplacements, the human guns spoke. Not elegant, not glowing, not ceremonial, just raw industrial machinery repurposed for killing. The M99 Vulcan rotary cannon spun to life, 6 barrels rotating faster and faster, electric motors screaming as they reached operational speed. 3,000 rounds per minute. The laughter cut off mid-sound. A solid wall of metal tore through the Varelian line. Rounds punched through energy shields by sheer kinetic force. Armor, crumpled bodies came apart. Limbs and weapons scattered across the sand. The sound was not dramatic. It was constant. A steady roar like an angry god clearing its throat. Varelian command channels erupted in confusion. What is that noise? Why are shields failing? Why are they still firing? The Vulcan did not answer questions. It only worked. Mara watched the feeds in grim silence. She felt no joy. Only focus. Keep firing, she ordered. Do not let them regroup. The gun crews obeyed. Barrels glowed dull red. Spent casings poured out like metallic rain. The human line held. For the first time in centuries, the Varelians stopped laughing. Governor Hrax recoiled as casualty reports flooded in. This was impossible. Human resistance was not supposed to scale like this. Their weapons were not supposed to breach Dominion shields, deploy suppression drones. He snapped. Neutralize those projectile emplacements. Hundreds of drones screamed down from orbit, sleek and fast, armed with precision lasers. They were designed to eliminate fortifications. With surgical efficiency, the humans anticipated this as the drones descended. The sky itself seemed to open fire. Shoulder-launched missiles streaked upward. Point defense guns tracked and spat. Explosions stitched patterns across the clouds. Still, some drones broke through. Lasers slashed into bunkers. Concrete cracked. Alarm wailed. Bunker 7 shook violently. Dust rained from the ceiling. "Damage report," Mara barked. "Minor breaches," a tech replied. "Gun 3 still operational." Mara exhaled slowly. She keyed a secure channel. "Release the reserve," deep beneath the colony. Something older than the settlement itself, powered up, a relic from humanity's earlier wars. Built not for aliens, but for other humans, the heavy autocannon platform rose from its silo, track locking into place, ammunition belts feeding in. Its barrels were thicker, slower, but each round carried a payload meant to break bunkers. When it fired, the world shook. The Dominion drones vanished in clouds of debris. Up in orbit, Varelian officers stared at their displays in horror. "This is not a civilian population," one whispered. "This is a fortress species." Hrax clenched his mandibles. "No," he hissed. "They are primitives with toys. Prepare orbital bombardment." The warning came seconds before impact. Orbital lances charging, energy signatures spiking. Mara knew what that meant. She opened a channel to all forces. "This is it," she said calmly. "Fall back to deep shelters. Guns stay online as long as they can." Some crews stayed anyway. No one ordered them to. They simply understood. The first orbital strike hit the outskirts of the settlement. Fire blossomed. The ground buckled. Shockwaves rolled across the plains. Then the humans did something the Dominion had never accounted for. They fired back at orbit. Hidden launch sites opened. Kinetic kill vehicles hurled themselves skyward. No guidance. Systems. No elegance. Just speed and mass. One slammed into a Varelian cruiser. The ship broke apart silently, fragments scattering like sparks. The Dominion fleet faltered. Fear rippled through command ranks. "These humans are insane," an officer cried. "They are firing without probability curves." Hrax watched another ship die, and in that moment, he understood too late. Humans did not calculate victory. They calculated cost. And they were always willing to pay more than anyone else. Hours later, the battlefield was quiet. Smoke drifted over shattered landing craft. The guns were silent now, their barrels warped, ammunition spent. Mara emerged from the bunker into the open air, her armor scorched, her face streaked with grime. She looked up at the sky. The Dominion fleet was gone, retreating in disarray, broadcasting emergency warnings across the galaxy. The message was simple: do not provoke humans, do not mock their weapons, and never laugh when they are quiet. Weeks later, alien diplomats would argue over what went wrong. They would analyze footage, study tactics, debate numbers. But among the soldiers who had been there, the truth was simpler. The laughter stopped at 3,000 rounds per minute, and nothing in the galaxy ever sounded the same again. Asterix, long after the Dominion fleet vanished beyond the edge of the system, Kepri 9 did not celebrate. There were no victory parades, no cheering crowds, only silence broken by repair crews and medics moving through the ruins. The guns sat where they had been abandoned, barrels scorched, mechanisms jammed with carbon and heat warping. Technicians ran gloved hands over the machines with something close to reverence, not because they loved the weapons, but because they understood what they had done. Colonel Mara Kincaid stood on a rise overlooking the battlefield. The sand was blackened and fused into glass in places. Varelian armor fragments lay half buried, already cooling in the evening wind. She closed her eyes and listened. Even in the quiet, she could still hear it. The roar of rotating barrels. The endless thunder of metal moving faster than fear. Reports began to arrive from across human space. The Dominion's emergency broadcast had spread faster than their retreat. Translated, copied, and replayed on 1,000 alien networks. They laughed until the humans answered. They stopped laughing when the gun spoke. Species that had never paid attention to humanity before began to study them, not their art, not their philosophy, but their logistics, their factories, their training doctrines. They noticed something unsettling. Humans built weapons the way other species built infrastructure, redundant, overpowered, and designed to keep working long after failure should have occurred. A Varelian inquiry council convened weeks later. Governor Rax stood before them, stripped of authority, mandibles scarred. His voice trembled as he spoke. They did not shout threats. They did not demand surrender. They did not even answer our laughter. They simply turned on machines meant for war against themselves. The council chamber was silent. Back on Kepri 9, the colony began to rebuild. New walls rose thicker than before. Power grids were hardened, and beneath the surface, deeper bunkers were dug. Children played near the old emplacements, tracing fingers along shell casings taller than they were. They asked what the noise had been like. The adults never gave detailed answers. They only said it was loud, and that it meant they were still alive. Mara filed her final report months later. Her last line was brief and unembellished. Humanity does not seek fear, but if forced to choose, we will always choose to be the last sound our enemies hear. Across the galaxy, the phrase spread, quoted in academies and war colleges, whispered among soldiers before battle.